Australia is absolutely furious at Donald Trump and his regime. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese of the Labour Party will be meeting right now with China, with his counterpart Xi Jinping and others. You will recall that Anthony Albanese had a very important meeting with Donald Trump at the G7. They were planning to meet for a long time. The AUKUS deal, the trilateral between the United Kingdom, Australia, and the United States that deals with military defense, specifically nuclear deterrence, has been a critical issue for Australia. Donald Trump's Defense Department has pretty much threatened to pull the United States out of AUKUS, which would leave Australia very vulnerable, and the United States has engaged in a lot of hostile action with Australia, even though the United States won longtime allies with Australia in normal times, non-Trump regime, authoritarian times. And also the United States has a trade surplus with Australia as well. So Donald Trump snubs Anthony Albanese and lots of world leaders. It wasn't just Anthony Albanese. It was also Prime Minister Modi of India. It was also Prime Minister Ashiba of Japan, and so many other world leaders who had critical meetings with Donald Trump at the G7. He couldn't be bothered. He rushed home. He spoke to Vladimir Putin on the phone. You remember all of that. So the world's moving on right now. And I understand that in Australia, the opposition party, their right-wing party in Australia, as the Midas mates, as the Midas down under, no, but I'm telling the American audience here, the Liberal Party in Australia is their right-wing, kind of far right-wing conservative party. The Labour Party is their center-left kind of liberal party, as you would think about it. So the opposition party is all up in arms saying, Anthony Albanese, how could you not meet with Donald Trump? You should do. Donald Trump's a crazy person, okay? He's a crazy authoritarian who's trying to destroy the United States. There's no logic. There's nothing that the Albanese government could have done. I mean, look, Kevin Rudd, who's getting crap for it, the old prime minister and current ambassador to the United States from Australia, Ambassador Rudd, former Prime Minister Rudd, he held a meeting with Donald Trump back in January, which now everyone's like, what went down at that meeting? What was happening at that meeting? And at the end of the day, it's kind of like contradictory, right? Because the opposition's like, why would you meet with him in January? You should be meeting with him now. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Australia saw what was coming. Kevin Rudd was a former prime minister. He tried to get ahead of it. And you can't get ahead of it with Donald Trump. So anyway, you've got Prime Minister Albanese going to China, big meeting right here. Let me show you how it's being reported in Australia. This is from 7 News. You'll hear in this clip from Albanese, you'll see some of the other conflicts that I just kind of talked about, what the opposition, the Liberal Party's making a big deal about. Again, remember, when you hear Liberal Party, that's the far right-wing party in Australia. And just take a listen if you can here, play this clip.
Well, in less than 24 hours, our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese will leave for Beijing for his second visit to China as PM. Live now to our political reporter Isabel Mullen in Canberra. Izzy, good afternoon. Trade, of course, is very high on the agenda.
It is, Tash. Good afternoon. Anthony Albanese will be leaving the country with a delegation of Australian businesses and universities. He was out early in Sydney this morning spruiking our trading relationship with Beijing, a relationship that fell apart under the Morrison government. We did see a ban on some Australian exports to China, but that resumed before the federal election. Regardless, the federal opposition is slamming Anthony Albanese for visiting China for the second time before pulling off that meeting with Donald Trump in Washington.
Around about 25% of our exports go to one destination, China, bigger than the next 4 of our partners combined of Japan, South Korea, the United States and India. The relationship with China means jobs in Australia. It's as simple as that.
And Izzy, this comes, of course, as the federal opposition demands more information about an interesting golf meeting between Kevin Rudd and Donald Trump in January.
Yes, it does. That meeting happened on the sidelines of a golf day in Florida at one of Donald Trump's golf courses. But as you said, no public disclosure of what was discussed there on the sidelines. Now, the federal opposition says that's a problem, particularly as we stare down the barrel of more tariffs, 200% on pharmaceuticals, 50% on aluminium and steel, and 10% on everything else.
Was this a meeting that went for 30 seconds or 30 minutes? Did it go well or did it go badly? Have there been any subsequent conversations or meetings between the ambassador and the president? This is our most important relationship at a most important time in history, and we need more transparency.
The Prime Minister insists a meeting will happen, Tash, and in the meantime, he'll be strengthening other relationships like our one with China.
Now, I'll give you just another perspective, another media outlet from Sky News Australia. And what they're talking about is that one of the things that China wants to achieve in these discussions with Australia is to distance Australia from the United States. As you heard in the prior clip, 25% of the trade that Australia does is with China. And it would be a big win for China to try to push Australia closer to it. And you'll see China's trying to do the same thing with Japan, with South Korea, whereas former President Biden and other presidents of the past made a very big deal about building relationships in Asia, building relationship with Australia, not this regime. You're also going to hear in this clip that I'm about to play you from Senator Penny Wong, very popular in Australia, the foreign minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Let's take a listen to this clip right here. Let's play it.
Well, Foreign Minister Penny Wong has expressed her concerns over China's surging military capabilities ahead of the Prime Minister's trip to Beijing this weekend. The senator, who's in Malaysia attending the ASEAN foreign ministers meeting, claims China's lack of transparency about nuclear and conventional military build-up is becoming more concerning. Late to the program here. Well, she says President Donald Trump's Indo-Pacific policies to counterweight China are necessary.
A lot of discussion with our friends in Southeast Asia, in ASEAN, about the importance of us working together. And I talked about the importance of a region where no country dominates and no country is dominated. A region where, as I described it, there is a balance of power, which of course requires continued US engagement.
Now, you'll notice what Foreign Minister Penny Wong was saying right there. She was at the ASEAN conference that was taking place in Malaysia. ASEAN stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the regional organization with Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand formed through what's called the Bangkok Declaration. And nations like Australia show up and participate in these sidelines, right? They're not a member of ASEAN, but they participate in these sidelines there. And you'll see Senator Penny Wong posting things like this. Today, I met with China's Minister Wang Yi on the sidelines of ASEAN's foreign ministers meeting in Malaysia. Australia will continue to engage with China to grow our relationship and navigate our differences while upholding our national interests. Or this photo right here, the foreign ministers of Japan, Australia, and New Zealand sitting together. Real diplomacy is taking place. The world's moving on from the U.S. and building relations with each other. They're actually doing deals with themselves while Donald Trump is writing letters. Deals among themselves while Donald Trump is writing letters.
You ever step outside and feel like you're instantly drenched in sweat? It's like no matter what you do, it doesn't stop. Now, I know with this heat, that's basically me every day. Now, if you've been struggling with the heat and humidity like I have great news. MANDO has just launched something that takes sweat control to the next level. Introducing the MANDO Deodorant Plus Sweat Control Solid Stick. It's double protection. And finally, you get the odor control that you love with MANDO plus powerful sweat control. And don't wait. Grab yours right now at shopmando.com and experience the double protection of MANDO Deodorant Plus Sweat Control. Now, what I love about MANDO is that it actually works. One swipe and you're good to go. This isn't your typical deodorant. It's clinical strength, 2 times better at controlling sweat than the standard. It controls both sweat and odor for 72 hours. And after just 12 hours, underarm sweat was reduced by 92%. This stuff works. Also, it doesn't just mask odor, it prevents it. 100% of a study participants experience all-day odor protection. And unlike other deodorants loaded with chemicals, MANDO uses only premium ingredients like gentle mandelic acid to keep you fresh and dry. MANDO's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Now, as a special offer for listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code MIDAS at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness.
Senator Penny Wong also wrote, Australia's relationship with Malaysia is based on mutual respect and a shared interest in a peaceful, stable, and prosperous region. It was an honor again to meet with the head of Malaysia, again to discuss our partnership as we celebrate 70 years of Australia's diplomatic ties with Malaysia, and so on and so forth. Now, at the same time that was taking place, what was the Trump regime doing specifically directed at Malaysia? You had Nick Adams being appointed as the ambassador to Malaysia. So Donald Trump gave the biggest FU to Malaysia, mocking Malaysia, acting like Malaysia is not a valuable partner. And you see Malaysia hosting ASEAN. Malaysia also separately hosted a meeting between Marco Rubio and Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, this week. And the United States just named Nick Adams like literally the most unserious, embarrassing human being to become the ambassador to Malaysia. And this relates to my story of Australia because Adams is Australian and Australians wish that Adams was not Australian. They're happy he got pushed to the United States, yet the U.S. has made this wacky individual, a crackpot. I don't know what to refer to this guy as the ambassador to Malaysia. Just to give you a taste of the types of things that Nick Adams says, I could show you hundreds of posts like this. He goes, when a woman is cooking dinner for me, this is how we split the responsibilities. She cooks, I eat, she cleans, I head to Hooters. That's it. And then he goes on to always talk about Hooters and how he's an alpha male. It's so embarrassing. I truly thought that it was a parody and that this was like a 20-year Borat skit. And one day he was just going to say this was all one big prank. Like, here's a video he made of himself back on April 3rd, 2023. Remember when a transgender woman was posted a photo of herself drinking a Bud Light? So he went to the Bud Light factory, and here's what he did. Here, play this clip.
This is a solemn day in alpha male history. I am here in Dallas, outside the Anheuser-Busch facility, and I cannot believe the betrayal that we are currently witnessing. This is Judas-level betrayal of the alpha male community, and just a week before Easter.
And again, while very serious business is being talked about at ASEAN in Malaysia, Nick Adams posted this video announcing that he would be the new United States ambassador to Malaysia. At the same time, Malaysia's hosting ASEAN. Do you realize what a big middle finger that is to Malaysia as they're hosting ASEAN? I can't emphasize enough because I know that cable news here doesn't talk about stuff like this, but this is really saying to Malaysia and all of the ASEAN nations, F you. Here, play this clip.
It is nothing short of a lifetime's honor to take the president's goodwill and spread it to the great people of Malaysia. It is, Mr. President, my honor to represent you and serve our nation before King Ibrahim Iskandar and his people. To His Majesty, I look forward to working with your government to strengthen ties between our friendly peoples.
And then let me show you Gareth Evans, former foreign minister, also part of the Labour Party, was served a very long time as a foreign minister, but a while back. Here he is, and this is being reposted by a Chinese think tank right here by Kindu Shu. And here's what he says, that there's just no longer any affection in Australia for what people to perceive to be Trump's approaches. Here, listen to what he says right here.
There's a survey done by Lawyer Institute, I think, say Australians' trust in the US has fallen to its lowest point in 20 years, with only 36% of respondents saying they trust the US to act responsibly in the world. What's your take on that?
Well, that's a dramatic falling away of some 20 percentage points, I think, in just a year. And obviously, it's very directly attributable to President Trump. There is no affection in Australia at all for what people perceive to be Trump's approach to international relations, Trump's approach to democracy, Trump's approach to internal respect and protection for civil liberties, for human rights. This is not a country that we've always believed in under the current administration, and it's no surprise that that confidence has dropped away. I mean, nobody knows what to expect from the Trump administration when it comes to international relations. There's three different strands at work. There's the America First isolationist divisions of spheres of influence. You do your thing, we'll do ours, and we don't want to get into any confrontational mode. That's one stream. Then there's the Make America Great Again stream, which is restoring American preeminence, primacy, all that stuff, with all that follows from that in terms of willingness to use force aggressively and in breach of international rule. And then there's the purely transactional, ego-driven dimension, where there's no obvious principles that are applicable at all except personal self-interest. So this is an environment which everybody is finding rather spooky. Trump's own advisors don't know which way he's going to jump, so how can the rest of us know which way he's going to jump? So obviously there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unhappiness with the way the United States is going. Hopefully, passage of time and a number of these policy decisions that Trump has been making will come back to bite him, including the economic ones in his own constituency. So hopefully over time we'll see some modification of behavior, but it's not surprising.
So that's a comprehensive update of everything that's going on, in my view, in Australia. To my Australian viewers, tell me if you thought I got it right. I spend a lot of time we have a lot of Meidas mates, a lot of Meidas Down Under, and it's important that I don't just do justice to the Australian news, not just report it accurately, but I want to report it better than what the Australian local news is doing. As you know, with my Canadian reporting and how embedded we got in Canada and we're going to be setting up a Meidas in Canada. Then I want to set up an official Meidas in Australia as well. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.